I apologised in my empties video, not sure if you've seen that already. My hair situation was just not good this morning. This was the only thing I could do with it that made it look semi-normal, and yeah, let's not discuss how terrible this looks. But I'm here today with another woman to woman video because I haven't done one of these in a while, and I keep getting messages from people saying, where have they gone, are you not doing those anymore? And I totally am. It's just, it's very difficult to come up with topics for these videos because it's hard to think of things that, you know, might be relevant for everyone, and it also can be quite a touchy subject, and I never want to offend anyone, so I have to kind of really think about what I want to talk about. So, as you all know by the title, today we are talking about women and ageing. And I just want to put this out there and say, first of all, that everything I'm saying is from my opinion. You know, I'm not talking from anyone else's opinion, from anyone else's experience. And I know a lot of you will probably be thinking, like, what on earth what business do you have talking about ageing? I'm in my kind of mid-20s, and it's not, you know, something that really would concern me. But it's something that I'm very interested in. And I have always been really interested in it. I have always kind of studied people's faces and wanted to know what it is about some people that makes them look so much younger than others, what it is about people's skin that makes them look younger, what it is about people that makes them look older, and just kind of how you can keep yourself looking good and looking younger for as long as possible. And that's not saying that kind of there's anything wrong with aging. I know we live in a society where women are not supposed to age, yet men can age, and it's great. And I also kind of find that a lot of the time men tend to age better than women, kind of as a general rule, because men have got different skin than women, slightly thicker skin and things like that, and it tends to kind of wear better, and men can look better with lines on their face. It's just something very it makes them look distinguished and just kind of sometimes even sexier. Like the guy from, I never remember what his name is, the guy from the new Dracula film, and he's in the Fast and Furious film, and he's also in some of the Lord of the Rings films with sort of long hair. Can't think what his name is. I think he's Welsh, and he has got loads of lines on his face, on his forehead, and kind of around his eyes, and it makes him so sexy. And then I always look and I think, if that was on a woman's face, I don't think it would have the same effect. And again, that's just from my opinion, and you know that it's never coming from a place of kind of belittling women either, but it's something that kind of really, really fascinates me. And I always look at people's faces, and I tend to kind of think that from sort of mid-30s is when you tend to kind of see signs of aging on people. And I'm always really interested in how people take care of their skin and how they took care of their skin before, to know why their skin looks like it does, if that makes sense. So whether people smoke, people's lifestyle, that kind of thing. I'm forever looking at people and kind of thinking, you know, well, I can just tell by looking at people sometimes. I can usually tell if someone's a smoker by their complexion and that kind of thing. And I just like to know what people are doing to kind of maintain their skin, if they're doing anything. I just find it really fascinating because I love beauty so much. And I often will kind of look at someone's face, and then when I get to talking with women, this is about their kind of skincare routine, they'll say, you know, like, oh, I just use face wipes and a bit of moisturiser, and my mind will be going, that's why your skin looks really tired. You know, if you just used a good cleanser, cleansing balm, a little bit of serum, some eye cream. I start already thinking, because in my head, I know so much of our aging is to do with our genes. I 100% think that, you know, it's just genetic, how your skin's going to age and how many lines you're going to have and everything like that. But I do also think that a lot of it's down to lifestyle choices. And I also think that a lot of it is down to how much we take care of our skin. And I come from the school of thought of, this is the only face that I've got, this is the only face that I'm ever going to have, unless I decide to, you know, like have plastic surgery on it or something. And I want to take the best possible care of this face, because this is the face that's going to have to last me forever, and I would like to keep it looking as nice for as long as possible. You know, when I'm 80, I'm not going to cry about the fact that I've got lines on my face, but I do think it's probably quite scary when you kind of maybe reach kind of like your mid-30s to start noticing kind of lines in places there weren't before and things like that. I do think that might be quite scary to me, but that's because I'm obviously a very vain person, hands up, admit it completely, that does care what I look like. And it's very interesting. My tablet's been doing that noise today, like all the time, and I don't know what it means. I need to have a look. It did it this morning and I was like, oh my god, it sounded like fire alarm or something. It's not. I made the fire alarm go off last night when I was making burgers, but yeah, I digress. So I have always been really interested in aging kind of as a concept, and things like, you know, using sunscreen and things like that have always really been at the front of my mind, because I've always thought I want to protect my skin as much as possible from the signs of aging. And most of my friends don't share my passion for beauty. You know, I have kind of blogger friends and that kind of thing that obviously do, and that is really cool, but generally speaking, most of my friends really don't. They're, you know, like kind of, like I said, moisturiser and face wipes, and don't really wear much makeup, and don't share kind of my passion and therefore my knowledge, because I'm so passionate about it. I always want to know about it. So I can often look at people and it just fascinates me. For example, a friend of my mum's, she's like a really close friend of the family's, and I love her. She looks amazing, and she's in her 50s, and she looks so good. And I, a lot of the time, think it's not necessarily about how many lines you've got on your face. It's not about that. It's about the appearance and the luminosity and the life of your skin. Not necessarily how many lines you've got on your face, because if your skin looks kind of healthy and glowing, you don't notice the lines as much. It kind of diminishes from it, and that's what I think is really important. And that's something that you can only really achieve with having a good skincare routine, because you can kind of, you know, get away with having more lines on your face because your skin looks so glowing and gorgeous and just really bright and lovely. And that's something that I think a lot of people don't understand. We tend to kind of get focused on how many lines you've got and getting rid of your lines, but actually it would really be helpful if people kind of understood that taking care of their skin first, and the quality and the texture of their skin is really important as well. And she is kind of a very girly girl. She wears makeup and everything daily, and she always said that she's a hairdresser, so she's always been interested in beauty, and she always told me that she always took care of her skin, and she said she always wore makeup, and she said she felt like that was almost a protective barrier for her skin. I'm not sure if I agree with that, but that was what she said. And I also have a friend who's in her late 30s who has had Botox, and she didn't tell me to begin with, and then she came around one day and I kept looking at her face and I kept thinking, God, you look so good. And then I just said to her, like, you've got no lines on your face at all, your skin just looks so good. And she said, well, I did have a little bit of Botox put in here and around my eyes, and it looked so natural. Like, honestly, she just looked well rested. And that's the thing with Botox. I think a lot of the time we notice Botox when it's botched, when you see the horror stories in people's faces that are like, and they speak like that because they can't move their forehead. That's what we see and think, oh, Botox is so terrible. But what we don't actually understand is that Botox, when it's done well, I think probably like 90% of celebrities that are kind of in their late 40s and that kind of thing, maybe even before that, having Botox. And sometimes you can tell with certain celebrities, don't want to name any names, Nicole Kidman, and sometimes you can't, because it's done well and it just makes you look really well rested. And I think that's a really fascinating thing. But also I think there is a lot of pressure on women to look young forever, because, you know, like, you're supposed to just age perfectly and still be beautiful when you're in your 50s. And there's a quote, I think it was like Eleanor Roosevelt, and she said that a young face, a beautiful young face, is an accident of nature. A beautiful older face is a work of art, or something like that. And I think that's really true, because a beautiful older face is how you've created it, and the laughter lines and things like that are kind of memories of good times, and not necessarily something you want to erase. But by the same token, you know, nobody wants to look kind of old and tired and like dull skin and just kind of really lackluster looking skin, because that doesn't kind of make your skin look at its best, and that's usually what all of us want. But I can understand that kind of, you know, a lot of people haven't really got the interest or the knowledge or the time to be dealing with that kind of thing, even though I personally think that a couple of small tweaks can make pretty much most skin look better. And I can do a video about that if you want me to. That being said, you know, my skin's far from perfect, but my skin's kind of the best that it can be under the circumstances. And I just think that it's a really, really fascinating topic. I love talking about kind of aging and anti-aging and what you can do and that kind of thing. And I think a lot of the time when you start to see the kind of telltale signs in your 30s, it tends to be from people that have kind of neglected their skin anyway. And then it's harder to reverse. You can't neglect your skin all your life, and then when you start to see lines, think, oh, and then buy an anti-aging cream and expect it to work. It's just not going to work that way. You need to kind of take care of it before and prevent it from happening. So sunscreen is so important in that, and I just still can't get over when I hear people say that, you know, they've had a sunbed session, and I just think like 12 times the damaging effects of the sun that you're just putting on your skin right there. It's just asking for premature aging. But I suppose maybe not everyone cares about that, I don't know. But I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know if you've got any requests and suggestions on other topics you would like me to talk about in this series, because as I said, it is tricky to come up with ideas for these types of videos. And I will see you all in my next video.